All right, everyone. We're going to do something a little different today. It is Sunday, July the 14th, a little bit past noon. This is going to be a very casual hang. I'm downstairs. I'm not upstairs in my usual studio environment. Yeah, it's a nice day, so I have the windows open, the doors open, and although you can't see it, I got a nice frosty beer here. I'll take a sip. Join me if you don't drink. How about some coffee, ice cold water, you name it. All right, so what are we doing here? Okay, as you can see, I got some pedals out, and just out of the shot here, I'll flick it on. You can't really see it anyway. That's my Pigtronix tuner. Of course, most tuners are also mute pedals, so that's handy. Here I have my UAD Pigtronix LA2A compressor. Honestly, I mostly use that because downstairs here I have these small IK multimedia speakers, and they sound great, but they're not that big, and I think the compressor's in there just to give me a little safety net if I get a little too excited, hit a note a little too hard. Back over here we have the Cosmosis, and I'd have to say that was definitely an impulse buy. It's a really fun reverb. Don't use it as much as I should, so that's another reason to include it here. The stars of the show, however, are going to be these two guys, the Digitech JamMan Express, and really mostly the Digitech SDRUM or SDRUM. Is that how they want you to say it? So I've been wanting to do this video for a long time because really, to be perfectly honest, I wanted to sell these guys. They just frustrated the hell out of me. And I thought, hey, let me do a video and showcase their best qualities and get them off my hands. But I didn't feel good about that. And I'd rather put some honest information out there in the community so that if you're thinking of buying one of these or both of them, you can make a really informed decision. Okay, so one more thing. I'm not really a pedal guy. As you can see here, I don't even have a pedal board. I just took this really battered, I don't know, utility sort of fold-up table. I sanded it real nice, finished it. Feels nice. Doesn't look like much, but it's nice. Anyhow, so that's my pedal board. And the power here, it's not isolated power. It's just, one of these daisy-chained, a nice daisy-chain one. What's the brand on that? They're the guys that are affiliated with TWA. Let's see here. PowerAll, the PowerAll Eco Adapter. That's what I have for power. So let's focus here. The SDRUM. Well, I have to admit, it appealed to me because I thought, I saw a demo and I said, if these guitar guys, meaning the skinny six stringers, are going to be able to kind of strum in a drum pattern, then I want to be able to do that too. And I should be able to do it with a bass guitar. And what if instead of strumming, I could do it by thumping and plucking, like, because I'm okay at that, so I should be able to go, right? And I should be able to do that and get a nice drum pattern going real fast. So that was its appeal. And the JamMan was kind of a additional impulse buy because I thought, well, you got a drum machine over here, why not pair it with a looper? And I've never really had a looper. So there you go. That's how I got these two guys. Okay, let's talk about this SDRUM. You really need to use the manual with this thing, and that's probably its biggest drawback. Some of it is just not that intuitive, and after learning how to use it, I would say that the controls do make sense. However, I still have to look at the manual for some things. So here's the thing. Every time I pull this out, I feel like it's just looking back at me. And it's saying, you're not going to sell me, are you? Come on, do that thing again. Do it. And then I do something like this. So after doing something like that, then it's kind of inspiring and it's just fun. And then I want to keep them around. So that's their dirty little trick. That's what they do best. So part of the magic here is because they're both Digitech, they use this cable over here. It's not a proprietary cable or anything like that. It's just a 1/8 inch, like a mini jack stereo audio cable. They call it the Jam Sync. So there's only one way to connect it. It goes out to in. And when you do that, this JamMan becomes a lot more usable. I'll just say this outright. Using this JamMan all by itself is super frustrating. Either I'm just not that good, or there's something about the way this switch functions that I just can never seem to get the in and out points. It just, I don't know. I get it sometimes, but most of the times I don't, and then I just get frustrated. The point of this is to have fun with it. These are definitely, like the name says, jam tools, okay? This is not something I would record with or play live with. You'd have to be a real masochist to play live with this thing. Now, both of them together, that's a different story. Because of the way they sync, you can get a drum pattern going, and then you can just hit this and it'll find the end point. So I'll go into that a little more, but back to this SDRUM. Okay, so let's pretend that you just bought it and you just want to learn how to use it real quick. So I'll try to keep this as simple as possible. So you turn the unit on. First thing you want to do, and this is actually one of its drawbacks, I'd say, is you have to focus on this song area. So there are 3 banks of songs, and each bank is 12 songs. So in total you have 36. It's green, orange, and red. So, whew. Let's take a breath. Let's take a swig better. I have that bank, let's just call it a bank, that green bank, full. And if I keep turning the knob, you see that the orange bank, I don't know how much you can see on camera, but yeah, I think I have that up to 7. So I'm using 7 of those. And then in the red bank, I only have this one. So for a second, let's forget about the SDRUM function or the strumming function, okay? Because it's actually much harder to use. Now, in my opinion, one of the biggest faults of this pedal is right now it's actually waiting for you to play something. But there are no cues. Why not? Because you can't hear the damn click. And in order to hear the click, you have to press this verse button down. So hold it down, that verse button. See? Now you can hear it. That is really frustrating. So here's another thing I don't like about this unit. There is no BPM display. There's no way to know what BPM you're at, which is another reason I wouldn't record with this thing, because I think that's kind of essential. Anyhow, you want to adjust your tempo. You do that here, and you notice I've turned it and nothing happened. Well, that's frustrating too. So sometimes you need to go above it, then back to the middle, and then it starts reacting. Frustrating. Another thing you can do is just tap here. So let's say I wanted to do this. I have a groove in mind like this, maybe. Just really simple. So let's say. That's too slow. Okay, let's say that's good. So now what you want to do is click here. That will start the recording. And let's just try that. Let's see if we can get it done. Again, I'm not going to use the strumming function. Not bad. Now to stop, you just hold this button down for a couple seconds. Next biggest flaw in this pedal, which is also its greatest strength. This is not a drum machine. You cannot program hi-hat patterns into it. All you can do is kick and snare. And even the kick and snare, it messes with it a little bit. You can't just do absolutely anything you want with the kick and snare because there's definitely some auto quantizing happening. We're not going to get into all that. So once you have a pattern done, like that really simple one we just did, so let's play it. Now what you can do, and it's the only thing you can do, is choose a hi-hat part. So your cymbals are all here. And again, this is why the color changed from the bank we were in, red, to this, because now we're changing hi-hat patterns. That one is distinctly different. Let's talk about the SDRUM thing, okay? It's easy enough to try. You just have to hold this button down. See how it says hold to calibrate? And what's going to happen after I do that is the hat's ride circular display here is going to be illuminated, and you're first going to hit your low. So for a bass guitar, I'd say this is where you're going to do your thumb. And then after you get through doing a bunch of low hits, you're going to see another display, and then you're going to do your high hits. Let's just try it. Let's hold that down. So there we go. We got the reds, and I'm going to thump over here. I know you can't see it, but here we go. Now we're going to do our top notes. Now, what I didn't do, and I suggest you don't do, is to actually do a pop or a slap. So what I'm doing really is, without moving my wrist, using my thumb to hit my lowest note, in this case a B, because I'm using a 5-string, and then I'm just tapping with index finger. I'm just tapping that G string. Now, once you do that, this is what you get. And I know you can't see my left hand, but basically I'm just doing this kind of funny slap thing like this. Now, recording with it, however, is not that intuitive, or maybe intuitive is not the right word, but it's just not as easy as using the buttons. Let's go ahead and try it. So why don't I go to a different song? So let's go to 2. Again, you gotta click this. Now you're in 2. And again, this stupid thing doesn't automatically enable the metronome, so I'm gonna hold down that verse. That's a bit fast. I don't want to go on that fast. That sounds okay, I guess. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I really don't know where 1 is, but what I do is I just click and then count to 4. The learn button will go solid once you're supposed to be on beat 1, so it's kind of tricky. Okay, here we go. See, I didn't really get it. Hey, listen to that mess. let's try this again. So if I hold this down, we should see that verse flash, meaning I erased it. Okay. Bong, bong. I didn't really get that either. All right, let's just try one more time. Let's clear that verse. Whew, I got it that time. Okay, let's set a hi-hat to be a little more funky. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, so it's a lot harder to do that. I think it's difficult to explain, but just trust me, it's kind of a novelty. It's way easier to just do that. And again, you're not programming hi-hats, so that's all you need to do is to program your kick and snare. Okay, let's talk about the jam sync again. You can do whatever pattern you need to do here, or rather it can be as short or as long as you want. Probably all you really need is 4 bars, maybe 8 bars. The cool thing about the jam sync is that you no longer have to be super accurate over here when you're recording your loops, because this thing will take care of the in point. It will automatically bring you in when this thing starts. And I'm going to try to illustrate that. Now, the important thing here is the very first thing you record here with this JamMan Express is going to be what sets the loop length. So I'm going to be recording a bass line that's pretty much the same thing over and over again. But if I don't do it for enough bars, I won't be able to play both the verse and the chorus to this song. So really, I think I need to make this like 16 bars long to really get through the verses and the chorus. So let's try that. So I'm going to clear this out. All right. And so we're back to just recording the bass line. And I'm going to do my best to count 16 bars. Okay, here we go. Two. 3. 4. 'Now, a cool trick here, if you're using a bass with 2 pickups, then when you're overdubbing parts, it's cool to change what pickup you're using. So I'm going to be, let's see. No, let's use bridge. And if you're lucky enough to have something like a reverb pedal like this, then that's another way to make the part stand out. You know, you want to try to place things in space, forward or backward. Reverb's a good way of doing that. Level is another way of doing that. And using different pickups, that gives it a much different tonality. So let's try to overdub this little chordal part here. I'm going to try to do that. Actually, I'm going to let it go 4 bars. I'm going to try to do it every 4 bars or so. I'm not going to be picky here. Okay, here we go. Let's turn the reverb off. Now I'm going to go to neck pickup for the melody. Let's see if I can get this done. I didn't do that. Okay, you got to let it play before you can dub, so it's going to be tricky. I'm just going to skip the first note because I can't do it fast enough. So here we go. For the sake of time, anyway. All right, so let's hear what that sounds like. Ah! I didn't hit play. Okay, here we go. Play. So there you have it. Trust me, that would be a lot more complicated if you didn't have this JamSync helping you out by letting you start this when you need to and then just overdub at will, more or less. Just keeping in mind that that first loop you create is going to be the foundation for all the rest of them. I've actually played around with this and did the bass line for an entire song, like 3.5 minutes. And then, did the guitar part, did the fills and the melody and all that. And it was pretty fun. It's a great exercise. Again, I like these guys because it's a good way of getting your head into an alternate zone, away from the computer to a place where you just really need to focus on your playing. Loopers in general will do that. Anybody who's had a looper and played with one for more than 5 minutes will know that your flaws, your timing just sticks out like a sore thumb. In that sense, I'm glad to have gotten a chance to play with looping. Now, I'm pretty much done with what I want to show, and I haven't even covered not even 25% of what's in the manual, so this thing is pretty complex. Probably because it's so complex, it gets quite warm. So it's a pretty nice day here today in Los Angeles, but this thing can get quite warm, so just keep that in mind in how you place it with other pedals. I wouldn't put this next to another pedal that also got warm. So last thing I want to do here is just go through my list. As I already stated before, I think using the buttons is way easier than the SDRUM technology. Okay, at least it was for me. Your mileage may vary, of course. I don't like that there's no BPM. I want to know what the BPM is in case I want to take this or set it up with my computer and then easily pull up a session in my DAW and say, okay, we're at 118 BPM. You can't do that here. So it's a lot more fuss to figure it out and blah, blah, blah. So remember what I said about the songs. I'm getting a little winded here. I think it's time for another drink of beer. There we go. So remember what I said about the songs. So here's another big flaw. So yeah, you have your songs, you have your 3 banks, you have your 36 slots. How in the hell are you supposed to remember what goes where? Well, either you're going to keep a piece of paper and write everything that you've done down. Over here to my left, I have my computer here, and I just wrote a file in Notepad. And I have the green, the orange, the red, and yeah, that's how I'm doing it. So you got to keep a list of the songs unless you have a super memory. Again, you can't program cymbals. You have to choose from the cymbal patterns. Now, for just jamming, I think maybe that's probably a good idea, because probably half the time you're just going to go anyway. So just for jamming, it's probably okay. Anyway, you might find that the kit selection is a bit limited, but it is what it is. You know, I'm sure it can only hold so much sample memory. Yeah, if you don't like reading manuals, you probably don't want this pedal, because I think you need to read the manual to get into some of the more advanced things. I'll show you one of those things. 3, 4. That's it right there. So you see how that one bass drum anticipates beat 1. That one. So again, just to do something that simple, you need to read the manual. Okay, so I'm done with the negatives. Positives, like I said, the cymbals are easy because you don't have to do anything but just choose which of the 12 patterns you want, or the alternate ones. The integration with the jam sync is really cool because it makes it exponentially easier to just come in on that one because you have the drums playing. Obviously, it's a great practice tool. So there are lots of quirks. There are a lot of things to kind of hate about it. But in the end, like I said in the beginning, I look at it and it just tempts me with, hey, we can put something together really quick. Just try it. Then I try it and then I like it again. All right, I think that's enough for a Sunday afternoon. Hope you guys are having a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye.